So this headline popped up. Duke, Gonzaga. Brett Yormark has allegedly turned his eyes out east to Duke and still kind of out west to Gonzaga. I read this one from yardbarker.com, which I thought interesting. I haven't really heard them reporting on too many things that are very legitimate, but it came from a source who I guess is big in the sports world. Radio host, former Salt Lake City radio host Tim Montemayor reported on his show the Big 12 is pursuing Duke. He's quoted as saying, well-placed sources told us that the Big 12 is being aggressive with ACC basketball membership and has their eyes solely set on Duke to pair with Gonzaga. Full stop right there. Let's react. Duke and Gonzaga to the Big 12. That report, or the idea that that is something the Big 12 could do, it makes not a lot of sense. We have not talked about Duke being a very valuable member of the ACC when we are still having the conversation of Miami being on the table. When there are articles coming out about how Miami to the Big 12 makes the most sense. When Dennis Dodd is releasing an article that says there's a backup option where Clemson and Florida State fall to the Big 12. Why would we be talking about Duke and Gonzaga basketball? When basketball does not push the needle, why are we talking about it? Did you know that Kansas State, I was just reading the other day at Kansas State, the sports that make money and lose money. The only sports that make money are men's basketball and football. Everybody else loses money. And men's basketball makes $1 million or so a year, around there, if that. Football makes $30 million a year. That's the difference. When TV networks are talking about contracts and moving forward with pushing the needle in these conversations, they're not mentioning basketball. They're not coming to Brett Yormark saying, ESPN's not saying, if you create the greatest basketball conference of all time, we will match you in what we're paying the SEC and the Big Ten. No, football pushes the needle. Brands push the needle. Duke and Gonzaga do not push the TV needle. Do not push the footprint needle. Washington State does that even more than Gonzaga. So this is wild. The article goes on to quote and say, the Big 12 has been trying to persuade Gonzaga's basketball team to leave the West Coast Conference to join the conference, but has been unsuccessful so far. And that is complete and utter pop. I want to know who yardbarker.com is sourcing on that. The Duke Blue Devil News is sourcing on that here. What on earth? What? Riddle me this. You're Gonzaga playing in the West Coast Conference. The Big 12 comes to you, as it did BYU, and says, hey, come join our conference and make stupid amounts of money and play big-time competition and legitimize your regular season in college basketball. What part of that is Gonzaga in the driver's seat to say no? They're not. That is asinine to think that the Gonzaga Bulldogs athletic department has been turning down the Big 12. Montemayor says the Big 12 would love to add both Duke and Gonzaga, strengthen themselves as a premier basketball conference. Now, I don't doubt the Big 12 wants to be a premier basketball conference, but who's saying this and why are we saying this? Why right now? What is it right now that makes Duke and Gonzaga make the most sense when the rest of the ACC is about to fall apart? Montemayor, the Big 12 commissioner, Brett Yormark, is trying to forge relationships now in the case the ACC does fall apart. Yes, but why basketball? Why Duke when a North Carolina exists, when a Virginia exists? And I get that those two schools are probably going to the SEC or the Big Ten, but why would you overlook a Virginia Tech for a Duke? Why would you overlook and I get it academically and from an athletic standpoint, the football team was good, the basketball team was good. What we are talking about is viewership numbers in football. Is and again I'm going to keep using that word, footprint, valuation. How much can you push the needle in this conference to make it money? And Duke isn't that when compared to Miami, who's going to be on the table, or even an NC State or North Carolina when those are on the table, or Virginia or Virginia Tech or a Pitt or a Louisville. Those are the schools that matter. Brett Yormark is focused on that, not going and getting Duke and Gonzaga basketball when the ACC is falling apart. The ACC is being sued by Clemson and Florida State. The articles continue. The schools likely want to leave to join one of the other conferences. Finally, something that's right. Though the ACC gave Stanford and Cal a life raft from the Pac-12, the article says the conference won't be in the best position, especially in football, if Clemson and FSU can leave. Oh, wow. No brainer, huh? That would create the sort of unstable situation Yormark apparently would want to pounce on. Yes. Genius. Crazy how that is. Whoever is out there spreading like the source, this trusted source who's telling the Montemayor guy that that Duke and Gonzaga are on the table right now. We've been having the same dang Gonzaga conversation for 8 months now about, Brett Yormark's in Spokane. He's talking to Mark Few. He's talking to their athletic department. We're going to get Gonzaga, and it just hasn't happened. Like, if it was going to happen, it would have happened at this point. Don't you think? And then now, instead of any of the other, 5, 6, 7 ACC brands that are clearly better than Duke, again, brand, money better than Duke, the focus is on Duke in basketball. Yormark when the shark smells blood in the water. When the shark smells blood in the water, he doesn't think, I could just eat that sponge over there. No. There is a person sawed in half right now floating in the ocean. The shark can just eat it. The shark can go get it. That's the NC State. That's the Virginia. That's the UNC. That's who you go attack. You attack the person who's cut in half, bleeding everywhere. Gory, I know. You don't go back for the sponge, the easy little sponge at the bottom of the ocean. You already saw hey, you're the shark. You've been a part of the attack. You've been in on this thing. You don't give up now to go make it make sense. Why would it make sense for Brett Yormark to turn his attention away from the clear meal in front of him and say, I don't really want this. Maybe this was probably a better example to use from the very beginning. I'm going to be honest with you. That was, I hope I didn't scar you or your children that are listening. If he says, I can either have this big filet that's like on the table being brought, on the cart being brought to my table, or I can go, steal that guy. He got a salad, like Duke's your salad. Your filet is any of the other bigger brands in the ACC. We're not turning our attention away from the filet to go get the salad. But I guess sources close to the issue say that the Big 12 is pursuing Duke to join the conference. Oh my gosh. Like, seriously? Are we even listening to ourselves? It's baffling to me. Louisville, watch out, you're ours. Pitt, watch out, you might be ours. Duke? Oh, for a basketball. Doesn't push the needle. Doesn't make as much money. People don't care as much. Football is the thing that does it. I need you to know that. Bring it to your water cooler. And people are like, Duke's going to the Big 12. No, not right now. Not right now. That's not the focus. Coming up, Caitlin Clark beat West Virginia. But did she? She had to, right? There's no way she wouldn't. Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Nissan. I love Nissan. That's why I drive a Nissan. I have a Nissan Maxima parked outside my house right now. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that pushed it further than the rest, just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. The Iowa State Cyclones can be described as a pathfinder. They've been thrilling to watch. They have created a lane for themselves, entering the tournament as one of the hottest teams in the country. They have a date with Illinois this Thursday in the Sweet 16. That's right, Iowa State, the pathfinder. They have found their path to the Sweet 16, and I believe they'll find their path to the Elite 8. They've been so dang good. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada. Go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. That is shopNissanUSA.com. Go find your next adventure. Proud sponsor of Locked On. Today's show is also brought to you by eBay Motors. If you got into a fender bender, that's fine. eBay Motors exists. If you got into a little bit of I scratched some paint, eBay Motors exists. If you say, I need a supercharger, a roof rack, exhaust kit, an LED headlight, and more, well, they have all those as well. eBay Motors has got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You always feel like you get exactly what you need. You go in, you boop, 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 boop. Yep. You look at, hey, there it is. Out of the 122 million parts, it's definitely there. eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusion to fly. eBay Motor, eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. That is ebaymotors.com.